All right, welcome everybody. So let's look at a sample problem together. Here, some of these should be not too bad for you to do, but let's take a look. Here it says, how many zeros does the graph have? So where is a zero? A zero is when this graph intersects the x-axis. So where does this graph intersect the x-axis? Here it intersects here, then it intersects here, then it intersects here, and then it intersects here. So notice that it has 4 zeros, okay? Now, going back to the degree of the function, notice that when both arrows are down or both arrows are up, this function will have to be even, okay? This is not too bad because we could just look at the paper we had before, right? Now, is the leading coefficient for this function, is it positive or negative? This for sure is negative, okay? And let's look at this part. What are the relative maximas here? So basically, a relative maxima occurs when a graph changes from a positive to a negative slope. So what are we talking about over here? Notice that, let's start from the left. Notice that here, when I'm going up, this is positive. So right now, this is positive. The second I start going down, the slope becomes negative. So notice that that change, where is the change from positive to start being negative? It's right here. These are the relative maximas of a graph. It's where the graph starts changing from a positive to a negative slope. So these are the relative maxims. You have one here. And notice that here, what do you think the relative minimum will be? Pause the video and just think about it. What will it be? Okay. What will the definition for relative minimum be? It's when the graph changes from a negative to a positive slope. So if I start going down and my slope is negative, then this has to be a relative minimum. Okay, so these are my minimums. These are my maximums. Okay, now let's look at the graph. The graph goes from back to positive and then negative over here. So here is my relative maxima. Okay, and that is it. So how many relative maximas are there? There are 2. How many minimums are there? There is 1. Now let's take a look at the end behavior. Always, the setup for end behavior is always x goes to positive infinity, x goes to negative infinity, right? It's like, what is happening? So let's see. As x is going to positive infinity, your f of x, your graph, is going down to negative infinity, okay? And what about over here? As x is going to negative infinity, my f of x graph is going also to negative infinity. Okay? Try and do the other questions by yourself. Buena suerte.